Hey, it's me, Kim Reads Urantia. How are you today? Anyway, um, today's April 25th. We're going to read from the Urantia book, but first, light the flame. Gotta do it. Andrew Harvey, right? This reading is from Padmasambhava. 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 Baba. Padmasambhava. Okay. Who is an early Buddhist. From what I can tell, I tried to find some information on this person. They established the first monastery in Tibet in like the 700s AD. So Buddhism, okay, dates. Oh gosh, I think Buddha was before Christ. I think. Let me look that up quick. Yeah. Oh gosh, when? Right. Okay. 4th to 5th century BC is where when Gautama, the actual Buddha, lived. Okay. So Buddha was before Christ. This guy, though, I think was like 700 years after Christ. Okay. Just get it kind of like that helps me to kind of conceptualize the framework a little bit. Okay, here we go. With the recognition and remembrance that samsara is a fiery pit, a garden of razors, a forest of swords, may I constantly arouse the most passionate aspiration to be quickly freed from all illusions and sufferings, so as to be able to guide all beings into nirvana. Blessed? Yes. Okay. Samsara, of course, is meaning the world of illusions. It kind of means the physical world, but that's not. I've seen people who believe that samsara is just the physical world. Okay, and that's dangerous because there's aspects of the physical world that they're just to be enjoyed. They're just not illusion. Illusions are we create mostly in our mind when we think, somebody's after us, somebody hates us, somebody's, you know what I mean, not so I see a lot of that. And part of samsara is this striving, this needing to prove myself, needing to be better than the other person, or needing to get ahead, needing to prove something, to be good enough, to be worthy. And I find that this feeling in myself is needing to be worthy, and I'm starting to recognize that more, and to kind of like cancel that and say, okay, back off, Kim, you're automatically worthy. It's okay, you're worthy. But I always feel like, okay, I get trapped in this feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to prove that I'm valuable. And in order to do that, a lot of times I have to show that something else isn't as valuable as I am. And it's that zero sum game philosophy where in order for me to win, somebody else has to lose. And this is very insidious, and it leads to that's the source of all of our pain, all of our suffering in the world, is this needing to be good enough, to be better than, to be, ahead of the curve, or to and to gain, a lot of times it's to gain control of physical reality or of another human beings, or to have somebody else approve of my point of view or my wherever I'm at. And it's just it's all we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. You don't need to be better than anybody. You're just you. You're just right the way you are. So, yeah, yeah. So, you know, everything's just okay how it is. That's what we need to get to. Everything's just okay how it is. All right? Because this body, this life is going to be forfeit in the end. I mean, it's a wonderful experience. It could be a horrible experience or a wonderful experience. But either way, it's going to be forfeit. And so we just use this experience, this life, to however we choose. And that's what's us, that choice. We decide what we're going to do with this time, and that we're here. And right now I'm spending it with you. And that's what I want to do, because that's what comes naturally to me. Okay, so that's enough about samsara. Yeah, it's all these structures. We can make structures, but then we have to forfeit them. We have to let them go. When their usefulness is done, we create, okay, companies, corporations, laws, all of these things we construct. When they're not useful anymore, we have to let them rest and replace them with something that is useful. Okay, that's all. All right. Part 7 of paper 1. This is the end of paper 1. Spiritual value of the personality concept. Okay, so we talked about personality here, and that God is a person, and that personality is a foundational concept of this book here. And it's much different than how we normally experience, oh, somebody's got a great personality. And like personality is part of, or as you can have a personality. Instead, this is more like you are a personality, because you are an individual expression, a unique, very special expression of God's love for everyone. That's what you are. And if you choose to open up to that and be that, that's your highest destiny. It's just be an expression of love. You're your expression. You're a unique expression of God's will in this world. Okay, so let's go. The spiritual value of the personality concept. When Jesus talked about the living God, he referred to a personal deity, the Father in heaven. The concept of the personality of deity facilitates fellowship. It favors intelligent worship. It promotes refreshing trustfulness. Interactions can be had between non-personal things, but not fellowship. Okay, the fellowship relation of Father and Son, as between God and man, cannot be enjoyed unless both are persons. Only personalities can commune with each other, albeit this personal communion may be greatly facilitated by the presence of just such an impersonal entity as the thought adjuster. Okay, so the fact that we are able to communicate with God necessitates that God is a person, because God has something to say uniquely to us. So God's messages to me may be different than they are to you. God may have intended you to be a Buddhist or a Muslim or a Hindu, and that's between you and God. It's not my business to try to convert you to Urantia theology. That's not what I want to do. So I want to um, share this personal expression of God that comes through me, and I want to encourage you to do the same. Express your individual mission in this world. Go out and spread love. Be who you are and communicate with God. Commune, and because we have personalities, because we are individual persons, we can communicate and harmonize with each other. We can commune with each other, and I can share love with you. And beings that are not persons can't really do that, you know well, there's different stages that gets to the adjutant mind spirits and stuff, and how um those adjutant mind spirits, we could talk about it another time, but they facilitate the development of that personal will, personal um communion with God's will, the knowledge and understanding of that. Okay, but it starts low, like there's spirit of courage and counsel and how, but these are things without personhood on these low levels, like animals. They can communicate with each other in this way, but until they can turn and see themselves through the spirit of wisdom and see that I'm a thing. I'm an individual thing. I don't have to. I don't have to do what you want. I can just make up my own mind about that. And then they have to turn with the spirit of worship and see God and see there is a right way. There is a best way to be. That's a just mind spirit. But I'm getting off the topic. I want to keep going with this. Yeah. Okay. Man does not achieve union with God as a drop of water might find unity with the ocean. Okay, that's an important idea that I think some New Age spiritual movements here try to do that. The one is the all, and the all is the one, and that's true on the highest level, like in the Isle of Paradise, yeah. But I mean, here in a functional level, okay, there's always the separation, there's always this individuality. Okay. So we can move in and out of that state of being one with the ocean, being the drop in the ocean. But then I can move out of that state and function individually on my own. And the people that want to be permanently the drop in the ocean, okay, they're losing something very important. They're losing their individuality, and I think I see that in some New Age spiritual movements, and it's a loss of the self, the loss of the will, and they're relinquishing that, and that's a huge price, and that's an ecstatic feeling. But I think, I don't know, I'm not gonna, Course in Miracles, okay, I've been there, I did that, and that's the feeling I got from that. That's a wonderful feeling, but you can get trapped in that feeling and be unable to exert your will as a separate entity. And I don't think that God meant for that to be. And in oh gosh, in terms of that can be a form of bondage. Okay, so when you have a spiritual leader that's very dynamic and charismatic, okay, and we can become bonded to that person's will. Okay? Now, Course in Miracles doesn't have a leader like that. It's just a book. It's a formula for encountering this dissolving of the ego into this ocean of God's will. Okay, but it's kind of making people kind of ripe to be. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it strikes me as a little bit dangerous. I respect people who choose that. That's not what I choose for myself. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, but that's an idea. Yeah, the dissolution of the ego in this. Yeah, okay. Man attains divine union by progressive reciprocal spiritual communion. Reciprocal spiritual communion. I love you, you love me. By personality intercourse with the personal God, by increasingly attaining the divine nature through wholehearted and intelligent conformity to the divine will. Such a sublime relationship can exist only between personalities. Yeah. So when you're a drop of water in the ocean, you're kind of relinquishing your personality, your individual will, in order to give more power to the what you think of as God's will. But what happens is that ocean, some powerful personality comes forward and speaks for that whole, and they become enslaved to the will of one. And another one I'll say is the raw material. Okay, now these are just my opinions, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I've looked at that, and that's a Ra is a community of beings. So one thing is speaking for all of this masses, or a communal, I don't know, entity, or a spirit entity of a community. But yeah, it seems cultish to me. I don't like that. I think that's possible, but I don't want my will to be absorbed into a community. Okay, that's the sun over there.
Right.
It's okay, sweetie. Come and say hi if you want. He won't. Anyway, okay, so that's enough on that. But that's something that I think about a lot, and I don't think we can experience this oneness, but then we can take hold of our individuality again and act as individuals. That's what I perceive as the goal. And that's also the yin and the yang. Yeah. Of it. Okay, the concept of truth might possibly be entertained apart from personality. The concept of beauty may exist without personality. But the concept of divine goodness is understandable only in relation to personality. Only a person can love and be loved. Even beauty and truth would be divorced from survival hope if they were not attributes of a personal God, a loving Father. Okay? So something is good only when it can demonstrate goodness toward something, another person. Okay? Yeah, truth, beauty, and goodness. We cannot fully understand how God can be primal, changeless, all-powerful, and perfect, and at the same time be surrounded by an ever-changing and apparently law-limited universe, an evolving universe of relative imperfections. But we can know such a truth in our own personal experience, since we all maintain identity of personality and unity of will in spite of the constant changing of both ourselves and the environment. Okay, so I constantly, rededicate my will to doing the will of God. Okay, you know, I do that, but you know what? I do it my own way too. Yeah, we all maintain identity of personality. So I maintain my my individuality, even as I unify with God's will, with my thought adjuster. And so I would say it's more like, it's not like a drop of water in the ocean that we come totally mixed up and dissolve our ego in there. We're more like cells in a body, and each one of us has its own unique identity and unique purpose, and we cooperate with each other, and we come together, and we go apart, and we go do our job, we go, and we're all benefiting the entire organism, we're all working for the entire organism. Okay, now, like, so for the health of the whole thing, but we each do it, we each utilize our own God-given faculties to attain this communal goal together, right? So we're all working together. A muscle cell is a lot different than a nerve cell, but they need each other. They need each other, and they work together for the benefit of the entire organism, right? So so we don't judge each other, we support each other, and we encourage each other to do our own thing in our own way, and it all works. Look at how amazing a body can do. Body can do a lot of things that an ocean can't do. You know, in a way, it's just much more complicated, complex, beautiful, diverse way of manner of being. Okay. Ultimate universe reality cannot be grasped by mathematics, logic, or philosophy. Only by personal experience and progressive conformity to the divine will of a personal God. Okay, so a you know a nerve cell can't decide, well, one day, you know what, forget this nerve cell transmitting impulse business, I want to be a digestive cell, I want to live in the pancreas, I'm just going to go be in the pancreas. Okay, so they can't do that. It's not a good idea to do that. Okay, so when we have things being here, I'm really jealous of those pancreatic cells that get to lay around all day and just squeeze out insulin and whatever they do. you know you got to do your job. You got to be who you are. You got to be who you are meant to be. Okay, and when you get into that groove of being yourself and appreciating yourself, and this is a lack of self-love. Okay, you don't feel like your own gifts are appreciated, otherwise you'd want to do what you do best. You wouldn't want to go try to do what other ones are doing because they're the best at doing that. you know Somehow, somewhere along the line, if you're feeling like this, envious of somebody else's station or their gifts, whatever, that means that you're failing to observe and appreciate your own gifts and what you are and how important you are. And maybe somebody's done that to you. Somebody's influenced you and made you feel like you're not valuable the way, why can't you be like us? You know what I mean? Or you know and our society does that, levens more praise on certain professions than others, and that's not an uncommon thing. But you have to tell yourself, you have to resolve to honor yourself and who you are, and be that to the best. Right. So we have to conform to the divine will of a personal God. Neither science, philosophy, nor theology can validate the personality of God. Only the personal experience of faith's sons of the Heavenly Father can affect the actual spiritual realization of the personality of God. The higher concepts of universe personality imply identity, self-consciousness, self-will, and that's ego. We're not supposed to relinquish our ego. You're not supposed to. It's a tool, okay, that you use to make decisions, decide what's good for you, what's good for the whole thing, and how to balance that out. Okay, right. Okay, the higher concepts of universe personality implied identity, self-consciousness, self-will, and possibility for self-revelation. And these characteristics further imply fellowship with other and equal personalities, such as exist in the personality associations of the paradise deities. And the absolute unity of these associations is so perfect that divinity becomes known by indivisibility, by oneness. Right. Because we're one together in the organism, which is God's, which is God. God is the body or the infinite, and we're just the smallest part of that, but we all contribute an important part of that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and these characteristics further imply fellowship with fellowship with other and personal and equal personalities, such as exists in the personality associations of the paradise deities. Okay, the paradise deities. So we are associating with other, like nerve cells associate with blood cells, the same and the same way as the Father associates with the, so these are all reflective with the eternal Son and the absolute Spirit. We're having these kinds of, relationships with each other. And the absolute unity of these associations is so perfect that divinity becomes known by indivisibility. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll get that later. Okay. Where am I at? And the absolute unity of these associations is so perfect that divinity becomes known by indivisibility, by oneness. Right. The Lord God is one. Indivisibility of personality does not interfere with God's bestowing his spirit to live in the hearts of mortal men. Indivisibility of a human father's personality does not prevent the reproduction of mortal sons and daughters. Right. Right. Okay, so indivisibility of personality. So it's not like God is giving, his kindness to you and his beauty to these guys, these, you know what I mean? The Father is his oneness, so he doesn't sacrifice anything himself in creating this progeny, this creation. Because that's indivisible. His personality is indivisible. Right. Okay. Right. This concept of indivisibility in association with the concept of unity implies transcendence of both time and space by the ultimacy of deity. Therefore, neither space nor time can be absolute or infinite. The first source and center is that infinity who unqualifiedly transcends all mind, all matter, and all spirit. Okay, so the first source and center is above all of time and space and all matter and all spirit. It's above all that. The fact of the Paradise Trinity in no manner violates the truth of the divine unity. Okay, so just because here it's got God has one part of God's self here that comes and creates all the universes, right? And and the creator sons, one part that does that and the other part that does the things the Holy Spirit does, like create angels and ministering through angels and mind creating the pathways for the people to advance toward God, toward perfection. Okay, that doesn't mean that that God doesn't have all those things. They are all together one. It's one organism. One. I know I keep saying organism. I'm a biologist. I have a degree in biology. Okay, so one thing that has a will, but still parts of it do this and parts of it do that. Parts of it do this other thing, create and explore and plan and you know, but it's all harmonious. It's all together. It's all one thing. Okay. Okay. The fact of the Paradise Trinity in no manner violates the truth of the divine unity. The three personalities of Paradise Deity are in all universe reality, reactions, and in the creature relations as one. In all universe reality reactions and in all creature revelations, they act as one. Yeah, just like we it's yeah, okay, I'm just going to keep reading. Neither does the existence of these three eternal persons violate the truth of the indivisibility of deity. I am fully aware that I have at my command no language adequate to make clear to the mortal mind how these universe problems appear to us. But you should not become discouraged. Not all of these things are wholly clear to even the high personalities belonging to my group of paradise beings. We don't know everything. So these angels, what is this? Divine counselor, right? Wrote the paper. Yeah. A divine counselor, yeah. So he's saying, yeah, but don't worry about it. We don't know all of this here. Not all of these things are wholly clear to even the high personalities belonging to my group of paradise beings. Even bear in mind that these profound truths pertaining to deity will increasingly clarify as your minds become progressively spiritualized during the successive epochs of the long mortal ascent to paradise. It just occurred to me like the dissociative identity syndrome, the split personality. Now that does happen as a result of severe trauma to our minds and bodies. That our personality will split into different aspects that are able to deal with whatever situation is coming up, and that's it. That's a defense against severe abuse and trauma. Now, I don't know how that fits in. If so, you've got several personalities in one body, and if the destiny of those personalities would be separate, if they would each have their own separate thought adjuster living in the same body, though. That's interesting. I don't know. I think it's possible. It could be that separation is temporary and those things those beings are kind of, as they go through the Morancha progression, they're, um, I think in a spiritual sense here, they'd have to be purged of whatever, um, okay, because here, as a matter of survival, they had to create probably some pretty negative, powerfully, oh gosh, some being, to deal with the abuse, and probably wouldn't be a very nice person, in mixed in with their personality, one of their personalities here. Um, but that's a negativity that spirit would need to be purged of, if that, I don't know. That's interesting. If those personalities would proceed separately, or would be destined to reconnect with each other. Like, you hear about twin flames here, the idea that a personality has been split and then has come back together, and there's the opposite, the yin and the yang of the personality. Um, so there's a lot of things here. That's something that definitely happens, that we observe in the world here in our minds. So what is the spiritual destiny of somebody with split personality syndrome? I think um, they're probably they probably well, God loves them. I know that, and it's not their fault, whatever they've been subjected to. This is not something that just comes by accident. This is always a result of trauma. Um, so God will heal those people in time. However, whether that's separately or to come back together, I don't know. Fascinating thought, though. Okay. Okay, let's just keep going just here. This is just the end, just credit here. Presented by a divine counselor, member of a group of celestial personalities assigned by the Ancients of Days on Uversa, the headquarters of the seventh superuniverse, to supervise those portions of this forthcoming revelation which have to do with affairs beyond the borders of the local universe of Nebadon. I am commissioned to sponsor those papers portraying the nature and attributes of God because I represent the highest source of information available for such a purpose on any inhabited world. I have served as a divine counselor in all 7 of the super universes and have long resided at the paradise center of all things. Many times have I enjoyed the supreme pleasure of sojourn in the immediate personal presence of the Universal Father. I portray the reality and truth of the Father's nature and attributes with unchallengeable authority. I know whereof I speak. And I believe you do, Divine Counselor. Thank you, Divine Counselor, for bringing this paper to us. Okay, we have completed paper 1. Tomorrow I will see you and start on paper 2. Thank you for staying with me. I know this went a little long. I felt like I had a lot to talk about. Okay, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.